Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Self Love Club Sunday. I am not feeling my best today. I'm going to lead with honesty and truth that I am not feeling amazing, and I don't know exactly what the cause of it is. I've been having some back pain for the past couple of weeks, and my head has been hurting this week. I've had like one full day of a migraine and then just some headaches lingering around. And it has just, been testing me, needless to say. So, one thing that I've been really working on is remembering what my habits are that help me. So, I haven't necessarily been instilling them. I know that's what we are working on this month is our habits and how our habits can benefit us in so many different ways. So, I was really spending some time to reflect on habits, and I want to dive in this week to talk about habits that benefit our mind, because as I've been having a bit of a rough week, I realize the first thing that starts to, lose my sense of self or even just like lose my strength is my mind. When my mind is not in a good place, it feels like everything starts to crumble around it. So if I mentally am not resilient or strong or even just clear on what I'm trying to accomplish and clear on how to navigate the day, like even just dealing with brain fog. If any of you have dealt with brain fog, you know how it is. But yeah, when my mind is not in a good place, everything else kind of just starts to go from there. So I really want to focus in on habits that can benefit our mind and habits that I know are in my little toolkit of self-care that relate to my mind. They may overlap with some other areas because I think when we're looking at habits, some of the best habits actually like overlap in different aspects of our life, but these are the habits that I really lean on for my mind, and then the different ways that they can actually benefit us, which I think is just important to know the benefits of these habits, which when I'm having a hard time implementing my habits or getting back on sort of that habit wheel, I remember what the outcome is, how I'm going to feel, and then it makes me a little bit more excited to actually do the habits and put them into practice. So one thing I know that I definitely struggle with when my mind is not in a great place, or if I'm dealing with physical pain, like going through this kind of chronic flare up that I've been in, is my ability to be productive or to focus just goes out the window. I can do neither, and I don't even want to do either when my mind is not great. So I really enjoy being a productive person. I like being able to be present and focused on the tasks that I'm working on. I think the last thing I want to be doing is trying to achieve a task, trying to be involved in something and feeling distracted or feeling uninspired or unmotivated. So I know that there's a lot of habits that can actually benefit our mind when it comes to focus and obviously productivity. So one of these is setting aside dedicated time. I know that we've heard this before. I'm a big fan of time blocking. If you live by your Google Calendar the way I do, I swear by time blocking because it's just a visual way of seeing where your time goes and being very diligent about knowing what you need to fit into each day, where that time is going to go, how you're going to use it. And then when you're having a rough day, like whether you're feeling emotionally drained or physically drained, you don't have to think about what's next. You actually already have it planned out for you in those time blocks and having that time already designated and set aside for something. So that's sort of the habit that really does benefit us because it becomes second nature and we don't have to add more stress or pressure to our mind to come up with something that we should be doing or working our way down a to-do list. It's already checked off. Like, for example, I'm recording this podcast in my time block, time that I'm supposed to record my podcast. And if you're a creative person like myself, it's hard to think about setting aside the same time for being creative because creativity, it comes and flows. Let's be honest, it doesn't always just happen, but you need to give yourself space and rest and freedom to be creative. So even just setting aside 2 hours, 2 afternoons a week or 2 evenings a week where you can just allow yourself to feel creative. So that might be reading one night, that might be going for a walk. There's different things that can spark creativity. You're going to know yours way better than I will, but making sure that you're prioritizing that and making that a time block for yourself is really, really beneficial. Another thing is planning and organizing your tasks in advance. So this is one habit that I have probably fallen on and off of more times than I can count, but it's one that I always return to, is I plan and organize my next day before I go to bed. So when I go to bed, or hopefully not right at bedtime, but before I fall asleep and unwind, I actually write out my to-do list for the following day. So I write down the big tasks, the ones that I'm really not looking forward to doing. I'm writing down those little thoughts that, maybe I'm not going to remember during the day, but it's that little idea of, oh, check this blog post, follow up on this, or Google that one thing you were thinking about. I try to empty my full internal to-do list onto paper, and it sort of helps as a brain dump in a way, because I'm allowing myself to organize all these thoughts that are running around in my head. But then I'm able to clear my mind, and when I start work the next day, I actually just start working. I don't sit down and think, okay, what do I have to do today? What's my number one task? What's the thing I don't want to do? All of that has already been prepared for me the following night. So past Mary was just, she was on top of it. And when I do this, I feel so much better and clearer when I go into my day, and especially when I'm having a hard time physically or mentally and I don't feel motivated to start my day. This is one last thing that I need to be stressed about when I start my day. So I highly recommend doing that the night before to help with your productivity and your focus for the following day. Another really beneficial thing that habits can do is reduce stress and anxiety. I'm sure you want to be less stressed and definitely less anxious. I have dealt with anxiety for most of my adult and I guess teenage years. Not that I really knew that I was dealing with anxiety, but now as an adult, I can definitely identify it more, and I know when I'm feeling stressed. I can definitely identify when I'm having that cortisol spike, and I'm sure some of you can as well. And I don't want that. I don't want to be living in that place of stress and anxiety. And I have found that habits is a really great thing to kind of bring me back down to a grounded space and not feel so overwhelmed and anxious and out of control in terms of my emotions when it comes to life and things that are truly out of my control. So some things that can help with obviously stress and anxiety, they create a sense of stability or predictability. I'm a little mixture of both. I like spontaneity, but then I also like some sort of routine. So for me, that really helps alleviate some mental strain where every day isn't like a completely blank page. I'm like, okay, what am I doing today? Even on weekends, I like to have a little bit of structure. I'm the type of person that can't start the day without having breakfast, and I need to have a breakfast meal. Even if I'm traveling and it's like took a red eye or whatever and I land somewhere at like 2 p.m., I still need a breakfast style meal to start my day. So that is the joy, obviously, of my routines, but that's something that has really helped me. And then other things are really simple. And I hate to say this, but this is one that is so easy and one that we often overlook because it feels like a lot of work, but it's moving our body and just some sort of form of exercise. So for me, the days I go for an evening walk or even a top of the day, like a morning walk, I just feel so much more clear mentally. And it's something that I am so grateful that I've been able to figure out this habit for myself, that it's actually working and I can feel the difference. And then another thing that I've recently introduced is breath work. So there's some types of different meditation for people. I'm not great when it comes to meditation, but I have tried breath work, and I'm actually going to link a 5-minute breath work from a friend of mine named Kira who did this on another podcast that I'm on. So I'm going to link that in the show notes so you can actually try this 5-minute breath work. But any form of meditation that sort of grounds you back into your body is really going to help you minimize that stress and anxiety that you feel and sort of be this tool that you can revisit when you're feeling stressed or anxious. You want to be able to have something that you can turn to in those moments that will hopefully get you out of that feeling. And for me, breath work has become one of those things. And I had never thought I would be that person saying that. But after doing some breath work and realizing just breathing, like truly getting oxygen, what it can do for me is phenomenal. Another great thing about habits, and this is one that I have definitely found over the years, is that it helps improve our mental resilience. This is something that we've been tested on over and over, especially the past couple of years, is how our mental strength can get us through seasons that are tough or circumstances we don't know where they're going and what the outcome's going to be. So by being able to use habits, We can help ourselves navigate life's challenges and how we can bounce back from them, which I think is really important because there's always going to be challenges and setbacks. So by cultivating habits that foster mental resilience, they can have a profound impact on our overall well-being. And again, that's what we're going for here. I know we're talking about our mind, but this is an overall thing that we're trying to achieve. So engaging in physical exercise, like I talked about, just moving your body, being in those different activities that make you feel connected with your physical self is super important. It also increases your mental resilience because you're definitely testing yourself when you're doing different types of activities, even if it's just a walk. Like, I'm not saying go to the gym and lift weights. Go for a walk, maybe do an uphill incline walk through your neighborhood. Go a little bit longer. You're going to see how you're able to test and push yourself outside of your comfort zone, which actually gives you more resilience for when life will inherently push you outside of your comfort zone. Obviously, seeking opportunities for personal growth is super important because that helps with resilience. So maybe that's taking up a new hobby or pursuing education. I know there's a lot of evening courses, online courses. I feel like education nowadays is so accessible. Even a YouTube course you could just dive into if it's something you're looking to do. And getting your brain to start thinking a little bit differently and outside of your day-to-day thinking patterns, I think is a really beneficial habit that we can all start to implement, myself included. I don't have a lot of hobbies outside of work, but I'm working on it. I have recently started painting my nails, so I do like gel manicures, which I know probably sounds not that exciting, but it is a creative outlet for me that I'm not trying to make into a business and I'm not trying to monetize. And it's actually become such a enjoyable part of I would say it's every like 3 weeks I do this. So it's not super frequent, but it is a hobby that I get to spend time on. And I spend time researching and looking up different things. And it gives me something to look at outside of the norm of my day-to-day, and that gives me more strength when it comes to dealing with day-to-day life struggles and life, everything that happens in life. In the day-to-day, we become almost numb to what we're going through. So by challenging ourselves to look outside the box, think and grow and learn outside of the box is super beneficial when it comes to our mental resilience. The last thing that is so important for your mind is sleep. So I know this in and out, how many hours I need to sleep, and I'm not great at it. Even though I know how much sleep I need, I often get caught up in doing other things and not sleeping as much. But sleep is truly one of the best habits that we can prioritize in order to benefit our mind, to be clear when we wake up, to have energy for the next day, to not be overtly emotional when making decisions, and we can make more rash decisions and think logically. And most importantly, you don't have to deal with brain fog when you're getting enough sleep. And again, going back to my past week, brain fog is not fun, and I need to make sure that I prioritize sleep. So that's one less thing that I need to be dealing with. So obviously a sleep routine and the habits around sleeping is super important. Not only getting the 8+ hours of sleep that you need, but also having a nighttime routine where you wind down, you're off your phone, you're off screens, and you really are decompressing and not allowing yourself to get caught up in the day-to-day anxieties or stressors that you have. So again, that goes back to my little to-do list before bed. That's part of me unwinding, is clearing my mind of the work that I'm always thinking about. And so being able to determine what this habit can look like for you can be exciting because you can try many different things and see what really benefits you. But having an unwinding habit and routine before bed is going to help you have a better night's sleep and actually get the rest that you need for the next day. When you have a regular night's sleep and you build that routine, you're actually going to find that you don't need your alarm clock the same way. You're not going to be waking up out of the middle of a REM cycle. I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is sometimes when my sleep schedule is all over the place, my alarm will go off and it's like I'm being pulled out of like this deep, dark fog. Whereas the other days when I've had a really good sleep cycle and sleep schedule, my body starts to know what time I'm getting up, and I'm almost waking up on my own. Like I'm coming to consciousness before my alarm. And that's such a helpful thing. And I think one of the biggest things that I'm really working on is when I wake up in the morning, whether that's turning off my alarm or my body's naturally waking up, is getting up and out of bed. It's so easy for me to lie there for another 10 or 15 minutes and sort of think that I'm just going to relax. But when I do that, I end up feeling more tired and I almost like go back into a sleep state, even if I'm not falling asleep. So I'm really working on when I wake up, whether again, that's by an alarm or my natural internal alarm clock, I'm actually getting up out of bed and starting my morning routine that does not include going on my phone right away. So again, trying to make sure that I'm not on my phone before bed and in the morning is two habits that I'm really focusing in on because I want to make sure that I just am not spending so much time on the screen. It's just not necessary. I don't need it. And I want to be more present in my day-to-day life, present with my partner, and have some time for myself before I'm being pulled in a million different directions, whether that's through email, social media, or text messages. I want to be able to focus on myself before the day truly begins. So obviously the benefits of cultivating good habits are pretty clear when it comes to your mind. There's a lot of things that habits can benefit your mind in doing. By incorporating these positive routines into your daily life, you can experience increased productivity, obviously reduce stress and anxiety. My biggest thing is the mental resilience. That's something that we all need and is hard to just find within ourselves. It's something we have to constantly work on and cultivate. And then have a better sleep quality, which I'm a big fan of sleep. I think it's when we were kids, we hated sleeping, and I just wish I could go back and tell my younger self to really enjoy it because I didn't have to get up and go to work or to school or to any life responsibilities, and a nap was just such a blessing. And I'm really just trying to remember that these habits that I'm putting into my day-to-day life are benefiting me and my mind in so many different ways that allow me to feel stronger in myself as I'm navigating life, because it's a lot, let's be honest. So I want to know what your habits are. You can start small. Like I said, it doesn't have to be going to the gym. It can be a small walk. It can be working on that to-do list. It can be turning your phone off before bed. All these little things start to add up, and small habits start to grow and build, and you can habit stack. So you can get one habit that is maybe it's turning off your phone before bed. That's what you do. And then another aspect of that is reading 20 pages before bed. So once you get into the routine of turning your phone off, then you introduce the next habit. And so you stack them together so that it feels easier to accomplish another one. If you have questions about habit stacking, please let me know because I always love to chat about that one as well. And I would really love to know the habits that you find are so beneficial for your mind, what's worked for you, or maybe what hasn't worked for you. I think it's sometimes nice to just talk about, I tried it and it was just not for me. And that's totally okay. I think trying new things is the only way we're going to know what works for us. So if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, this would be a great time because we're going to keep chatting about habits all month and we're going to be learning together. If you haven't reviewed us and maybe given us 5 stars, I also think now is the time. I would love to hear what you think of the podcast. If you've learned things, basically just would love to chat with you. You can follow our brand Mary Young on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're on Threads and TikTok and Pinterest, all at It's Mary Young. And you can follow me at Maria Foriata. And I hope you have an amazing day and remember to love yourself first.